Good evening. It is 6:13 p.m. and I'll call the Village of Sugar Grove Board meeting to order. We'll now say the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have roll call, please.
President Stilwell.
Here.
Trustee Linton.
Here.
Trustee Bonnie.
Here.
Trustee Michaels.
Here.
Trustee Special.
Here.
Trustee London.
Here.
Trustee Roscoe.
Here.
We will now have public hearing. Do you have any?
No need for public hearing tonight.
No public hearing. Next, we'll have airport report by Trustee Special.
No report tonight.
No report tonight. We will have public comment on scheduled action items. On the consent agenda tonight, we have approval of the August 19th, 2025 Village Board meeting minutes, approval of the vouchers, an ordinance rezoning certain property, Sugar Grove Township Road District, an ordinance for the special use for preliminary planned unit development, Sugar Grove Township Road District, an ordinance for special use for final planned unit development, Sugar Grove Township Road District, and a resolution approving transfer of surplus fund balance for 2024 and 2025. Would anyone, I'm so sorry, would anyone like to comment on consent agenda items? All right. Would anyone like to remove an item from the consent agenda?
If you don't mind, Madam President, this would also include general business. This first public comment would also include the two general business items. An ordinance approving a minor amendment to the PUD for Starbucks and a resolution authorizing the use of contingency for police department project remodel. And you did have two people sign up for public comment.
Oh, perfect. Todd?
My name's Todd Smoots. I'm with GMX Real Estate Group. I wanted to let you know, Chief, that I stopped by earlier this afternoon and made sure they put the stop signs in that you requested, and they removed the hedges in the Jewel Osco parking lot. And again, appreciate you directing traffic at the groundbreaking over there. And I guess congratulations are in order for your groundbreaking. So it's exciting. During the process several months ago of the PUD, we didn't have signage plans ready yet for the Starbucks. So in the intervening time, they've created their signage plans, and we're asking for a couple minor variances to the PUD that were overlooked at that time. And we just want to make right on that with you and respectfully request consideration for those variances for the signage. And I'm happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Are there any questions for Todd? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So just a little background, Todd works for GMX. GMX was they built the Starbucks, and he's here when Danny does her presentation on community development. He'll be able to answer questions at that point as well.
Thank you. And Mr. Lindy?
The next public comment is for
Okay. Would anyone like to remove an item from the consent agenda? Is there a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
First from Trustee Michaels and a second from Trustee Special. Can we have a roll call, please, Tracy?
Trustee Michaels.
Aye.
Trustee Special.
Aye.
Trustee Lundy.
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie.
Aye.
Trustee London.
Aye.
Trustee Roscoe.
Aye.
The ayes have it and the consent agenda is approved. We'll now move on to general business. Is there a motion and a second to discuss and vote on agenda item 11A, an ordinance to approve a minor amendment to the PUD for Starbucks? And actually, Community Development Director Danny Marion has a board report on this item.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. We have a first from Trustee Special, is there? And a second from Trustee Roscoe.
Trustee Special.
Oh.
No.
Okay, so the village has received an application for a minor PUD amendment for Lot 8 Sugar Grove Center. This is to address the signage plan for Starbucks. As Mr. Mutt stated, there was never a signage plan included as with the original PUD approval. when they came in to apply for their signage, it was noted that some of them did not meet the code requirements for the signage plan. So we advised them that the best route would be to submit a signage plan for the entire property that addresses all of their signage, their menu boards, their building signage. In an attempt to not hold up Starbucks opening, staff did approve their signage as they applied for it. So some of the signs right now do not meet the code, but there was a condition that they must obtain PUD approval. Failure to do so, they have to remove all signage and bring them into compliance with village code. So before you have the sign package that they're proposing. The key things that stand out are the menu boards. They have 3 menu boards. Our code allows for 2. One of the menu boards is wider than what our code allows for, and one of them is taller with the structure that goes over the ordering menu board. And then the other portion of the signage that does not meet our code is the directional signage. Our code allows for directional signage, but it has to be a maximum of 3 feet in height. Their directional signage is 8 inches taller. And then the final signage that doesn't meet is the emblem on the front of the building, the round sign. It is 2 square feet larger than what they would be permitted, because our calculations go off of, they get 1 square foot for every 1 linear foot of the space they occupy. So I believe they occupy 36 square feet and their sign is 38 square feet. The Plan Commission reviewed the application and had no concerns over the signage and recommended that the village board approve the proposed signage plan. This is Starbucks standard signage. Typically this would have came before you with the PUD approval, but it was not ready at that time, so they are here asking for it to be incorporated at this time. And Mr. Smuts is here if you have any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Smuts or Denny? Or any discussion?
You say the money boards are, is it the kiosk?
Yeah, so the menu boards, there's 3 of
Oh,
them
menu
technically.
boards,
Yeah, sorry, menu boards.
Okay.
Any other discussion? If we could have a roll call for the please, Tracy.
Trustee Special?
Aye.
Trustee Roscoe?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee London?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the ordinance approving minor amendment to the Starbucks PUD is approved. Our next item of general business is a resolution authorizing the use of contingency for police department remodel project. Is there a motion and a second to discuss and vote on agenda item 11B?
I'll make that motion.
We have a first from trustee Lindy. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, trustee
And a
London.
Second from trustee London. Community Police Chief Rollins has a board report on this item.
Good evening. Thank you again for participating in the groundbreaking ceremony for the remodel construction of the police department. Last board meeting, you guys have helped launch the expansion of the police department, as well as adding some additional items, and we're grateful for that. One of the things that popped up during the discussion was there's contingency funds in case something changes, or there might be goods or services that might come up, and we're trying to keep the project moving forward and streamlined. As a reminder, there's $325,000 in contingency fund that was budgeted in this project. So in our normal course, if something would happen, we would have to come back in front of the board, even if it's $5,000 or $1,000. It could potentially delay the project even longer, or alter, the some of the decisions that's being made just to forego it. But we would, and it was mentioned at the last meeting that if we could, the Public Works Director Brad Merkel, the Administrator Scott Copel, and myself would become a police department building committee. Any contingency funds, we're asking that if the expenditures are up to $25,000, we would have the authority to go ahead and authorize that. And anything over $25,000 will come back to the village board, and that is the dollar amount that's used for what's required for bidding. Anything over $25,000 has to be bid out. The intent, though, if you're okay with this, is in my staff report, I will put down any contingency funds that were used from the last board meeting and have a running total, so you know what's being spent. And anything, again, that's over $25,000 is gonna come in front of you for approval. So, be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions?
Oh. I had a question. Our architects are doing the construction management on this, the
Yes.
construction
Correct.
administration. So are they going to be looking at anything that would be coming through? I'm assuming these contingencies partially are change orders essentially. So are they going to be reviewing it in the capacity of the construction administration?
Yeah.
I think that they would have to, because
Yeah.
they're part of the overseeing the project.
Right.
So
I just wanna make sure.
we discussed the process.
Mhm.
If a change order comes in, it would come from potentially like light construction or the AV or electrical. It would go to the architects, they would write up a change order, it would be reviewed by the construction manager, and then it would come back to myself, Chief, and Brad for authorization. If it's below the threshold, we could approve it. If not, it'd have to come back to the board at that point. But they would definitely be involved in reviewing it, also checking that the price is good, like they did with all
Right.
the other bids, and then providing that information to us as the construction manager.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that they were involved in that process for that. So.
Any other discussion? Tracy, if we could have a roll call, please.
Trustee Lundy,
Aye.
Trustee London,
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie,
Aye.
Trustee Michaels,
Aye.
Trustee Special,
Aye.
Trustee Ruska.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the resolution authorizing the use of contingency for a police department remodel project is approved. We now have public comments. Mr. Lundy.
So I'll forego my usual disclaimer. Everybody knows by now that I don't speak for her. What I wanted to show you was this. This is a tail feather from a red-tailed hawk. And what makes this special is that I would wager that I am the only person in this room legally allowed to possess this feather. In fact, to the best of my knowledge, I am the only person in the village of Sugar Grove legally allowed to possess this feather, because I am part of a very exclusive and heavily regulated group. I'm a licensed falconer. More specifically, I'm a general class falconer, state permit F25028, federal permit A00346. I've been licensed since 2003, which is about the time that I moved into Sugar Grove. Now, falconry has been around for thousands of years. Genghis Khan, Mary Queen of Scots, King James I, the Bible guy, yeah, they were all falconers. Contemporary falconers are noteworthy as well. A guy named Mike Melville was the first commercial astronaut, also a falconer. The guy who was responsible for bringing the peregrine falcon back from near extinction, who discovered the link between DDT and thinning shells, was a guy named Tom Cave, also a licensed falconer. So we're a noteworthy bunch, but we're also a very small bunch. I think there are less than 200 of us in the state of Illinois. And the reason I'm talking to you is because the proposed amendment to the animal control would basically abolish the art of falconry in Sugar Grove, and I don't think that's necessary. As I mentioned, falconry is one of the most heavily regulated things in the state of Illinois. Title 17, Chapter 1, Part 1590, or we just call it 1590, are all the regulations we have to follow for Illinois. We also have to follow things from the Migratory Bird Treaty and other things like that. But this governs how many raptors we can have, how the facilities must be constructed, and they can inspect at any time without notice. How the whereabouts of the raptors are tracked. It covers apprenticeship requirements. I had to apprentice for 2 years to get my license. It covers all of the permitting and the testing requirements and everything else. So they're very, very heavily regulated. So I'd ask that you add an exception to the proposed amendment that allows falconry to stay alive here in Sugar Grove, and make an exception for raptors possessed by licensed falconers. And if you were curious as to why I'm allowed to keep feathers, sometimes raptors break their feathers, and I'm allowed to use an existing feather, molted feather, to repair the feather. It's called imping, and if you're interested, all the regulations about that are also covered in 1590. Thank you.
Thank you. Which? All right, are there any other public comments? Hearing none, we will close public comment at this time, and we will move on to discussion items. Text amendment, Title V, Chapter 4, Animal Control. Community Development Director Danny Marion will present this item.
You have before you a proposed text amendment to the animal control section of our code. This came about, the Section D under animals at large. This was a result of us addressing a resident's complaint about ducks being kept at a neighboring house. So when we went into our code to kind of look and see what was permitted, we realized that previously at some point in our code we limited the number of dogs and cats, which is another complaint that we've been receiving, is people having more than 4 dogs and cats. And we recalled this being in the code previously. Somehow it was dropped throughout the code. We can't really figure out when or where or how. But then we attempted as staff to address limiting the number of dogs and cats, bringing that back into the code. We figured while we were at it, let's strengthen up what animals are permitted within town. That is where the Section D was proposed and came from. The other portion of this text amendment is addressing residential chicken keeping. Through executing residential chicken keeping permits, we get a lot of complaints from residents because we required 10 square feet of coop space per hen. During research, we found that this was a pretty large number. We checked other municipalities and we talked to the King County Farm Bureau. We came upon 4 square feet was a more reasonable amount of coop space per hen to require. So we proposed that, and in the process we also added some additional language on the electrical for the coops, the application of building permit, and then some sanitary language, and then a penalty if they don't comply to allow us to have more enforcement, I guess, if we have to ever enforce it. So before you have the proposed text amendment that staff has been working on, and we are just requesting for you to discuss it and provide feedback on your thoughts, suggestions, language changes, etc.
Thank you. I'm assuming there's discussion on this one.
Can I ask you a question? So I don't know what actual boundaries of shared growth, actually the village boundaries. So is there properties that are large properties that, you know, that have animals like
farm animals?
Farm animals or cows or horses or anything else?
To my knowledge, there are not other than Rosewood Farm, and she has it in her annexation agreement that allows her to keep those animals.
So why is this limited? I mean, this is the board. Why not have this limited to just residential neighborhoods instead of a certain size, instead of just a blanket the whole village? I mean, if you have a 5-acre property, why would you not? You know, why would we not allow that? I mean,
If they have a 5-acre property?
yeah.
We could go that route. My thought was that there are some residences in, I can't think of the subdivision right now, but they have E1 zoning, very large lots. And I feel like if we allow, I know their HOA would probably kick in, but if we allow them to have farm animals on their property, their neighbors would probably be complaining.
Stratford Woods.
Thank you.
So is the only complaint that we've gotten at this time, I guess, how many total complaints? So there was one about ducks, and then
We got a complaint about the ducks, and we're like, okay, there's nothing really strong in here that states you can't have ducks. And then we've gotten complaints about some people having lots of dogs barking. So it's not It's not like we're getting complaints a lot.
Yeah.
We just decided this was a good time to kind of look at this section, maybe strengthen some of the language, add language.
I feel like this might be a lot of regulation to impose just because of a complaint about ducks, and I'd personally be okay with ducks as well. I think Mr. Lundy brings up a very good point. You know, we didn't think about things like falconry. I personally have 2 small parrots. It looks like those are okay, but there's probably animals that just aren't being considered, and this could have unintended consequences. So I don't want to cause problems for people.
Former trustee, they have pet pig.
Mhm.
Yeah.
in the
Pet
village.
rabbits.
By the same token, you might have a half-acre yard, someone has a cow in the back. I was just saying, you could have some, so there should be some limits of some kind.
But there is a zoning code that kicks in.
There
That's
is-
zoning 1146 that says you can't have any livestock or poultry with the exception of keeping hens unless it's A1. So
Okay.
I don't think we need this at all.
What's
because
A1?
the
What's
zone-
considered A1?
Agriculture.
Okay.
So because those would be poultry, the ducks,
Mhm.
they would be in violation because they are not A1. So I would say eliminate this completely and just let our zoning code be the rule on that. Because when you have such language that says only what you can have, you're eliminating, it says domestic animals commonly kept in household pets in a small indoor cage. These are the things that are allowed. So what about snakes? They're not domesticated. Potbelly pigs, you mentioned, parrots, because it mentions small indoor birds. If you have a large parrot, you can't. I think this is asking for a lot of problems for something we don't even really need, because our zoning code states that you can't have livestock or poultry except hens unless you're in the agriculture zone.
If there was like, I don't know what the word is, but you know, someone that had like 40 cats in their house, I don't know if that's considered like cat hoarding. Is that something the county might already have some sort of restriction that could be relied on to handle that?
I believe the county does have a restriction, and that's kind of where our numbers came from, is emulating what the county allows. As far as enforcement, I'm not sure how the county enforces.
Did you want to pass an ordinance to update the chicken ordinances instead, and take out the reference to the other domesticated?
Yes, we can do that.
And should we use a range of 2 to 4 square feet? Because it seemed like there was some support for smaller square footage.
So I have a lot to say on the chickens section. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
No, I just, from reading the comments or the staff report, it seemed like there's maybe some reason to go smaller.
So I have raised chickens, and it's a little difficult to do the code for chicken coops because one law doesn't fit all the situations, because the amount of space you need for a chicken, and these are chickens that are pets, these are not chickens for food, because we made that in our regulation. For a small chicken, it's different than for a large chicken. We also, in our current code, do not state how much of an outdoor run you need. So if you have a smaller chicken coop, you need to have a larger run, because then the chickens are only coming inside to roost at night. If you don't have a very big run for them to go, then they're going to spend more time inside, and you need to have them more space. And like I said, some of that's dependent on the size. So it's difficult to write this, but I think that is where that 10 square feet came from, because that was basically assuming, since we have no minimum for the run, for the outside space for them, that was the larger number, and that is for a larger chicken as well. I have talked to Danny at length about this. I think Lombard has I don't know if you got a chance to look at it. They have
Yeah, I was looking at it a little bit today.
Yeah, so they have some information on how much of a size per hen, which I think is around 4 square feet per hen, if you also have 4 square feet of run minimum. So there's, like I said, it's not an easy thing to write, but we need to make sure we're thinking about all the circumstances, because you don't want to limit to just a 4 square foot of hen, you know, for the coop, and no minimum for the run, because then that's kind of an animal cruelty thing, because then that chicken, which is, some of these are as big as a soccer ball, and if they don't have any outside run, you know, then you're just keeping them caged the whole time. So that's something to look at, and I have some stuff I was going to give Danny, some things I found. I mean, some of them even suggest you have a minimum of 8 square feet per hen for runs. So you got to find some kind of nice balance on there.
Are there any trustees that are in support of this as written?
For the chickens, it's
The chickens.
And are you in consensus, no roosters?
Oh, yeah, you don't.
So I
nice.
think that's what it would be, probably, then, just the no roosters and the chicken coop modification. Okay.
Can we, and then as far as look at the different chicken coop regulations, because I'm not good with just the 4 square feet, no
Yep.
minimum on the run, and
Let's see, yep, bring that back.
So, trustee, if I may, so Lombard has an outdoor area minimum of 4 square feet per hen will be required, and a maximum of 150 square feet will be permitted for both the covered enclosure structure and outdoor area. Does that work?
yeah, and if you, that seemed okay. If you looked on the PDF that you go there, it's a really nice explanation. It mentions how much of a minimum run is required for that too. And there's also I mean, like I said, we're trying to put regulations on a, you know, one law, or, you know, one regulation fits all situation, and it's not. If you have small hens, then you can have smaller space. You have big hens, you need bigger space.
So since you did the 2 square foot, I mean, otherwise, if you did this 4 square foot for the bigger hen, you know, if you said 2 square foot might be enough for the smaller hen, should you go to the smaller end?
I mean, the thing is you can't tell the people what hen they can have.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to do that. You don't want to discourage this. So I'm not sure. Like I said, I looked at Lombard. Lombard seemed to have kind of a little bit of a balance there, because they required a certain size on the run, and then they required a certain size on the coop, because I understand sometimes having too big of a coop is not good and healthy for the chickens too. If you have small hens and you have too big of a coop, then they can't huddle together enough to get the body heat, you know, so there's a lot of.
That's why I proposed the range.
So, yeah, so it's gonna, you know, it's a difficult thing, so, but like I said, I liked Lumbar's because it seemed to kind of do in between, but I would like to leave it up to
Yeah, I'll take a look at it,
department
and
to
I will
kinda-
draft changes and bring them back at the next meeting.
and take a look at, yeah, all the different things. Sorry, had to.
Very good. And then, do you guys want to just completely get rid of section D? You don't wanna keep any kind of limits on dogs and cats?
Well,
Number of dogs and cats?
we have dogs and cats on our website.
It's on our website, it is, on our website.
Is there, because we had at one time, I think, had that, and it
Yes.
just
It was in
disappeared.
there, I have no idea where it went, and I was searching old ordinances today, and I can't find one that has those numbers listed in it.
So I direct question to legal. If it was passed, it's still active even if it somehow got misplaced in being posting, correct?
That is correct.
What's the limit on the website?
4 total.
4.
I mean, what I would recommend that if we can't find anywhere is recodify the website in here. I mean, let's just make it official as part of the code. I mean, we don't know where it is, but it's been there sometime. So,
Yeah, I think it happened because whoever we were with before, I think we're with American Legal now, online, and we had a different.
Sterling's.
Yeah, so I think when we switched, there was something else that got lost when we switched to that we had to bring back. I don't remember what that one was now, but everybody in my department also remembers that being in there, so it's not just me mentioning things.
Is there anyone opposed to a limit of 4 dogs and cats?
Well, it would depend if somebody has like puppies or kittens, or if they're fostering animals.
So there's language on the website too where you can keep puppies for so many months. I think it's up to 4 months is what the website
Mhm.
says. So you are allowed to have puppies for so long.
Yeah. But I think that D is inordinately restrictive on the types of animals because there's, all sorts of others. And then what Mr. Lindy brought up is even outside of this, but could be construed as being inside of it. And that would be a whole nother can of worms that we'd have to go with. I think somebody mentioned potbelly pigs. That's a domesticated pet. There's sometimes people keep rabbits in a hutch outdoors. So this would say that they couldn't keep it outdoors, the way it's worded. So I think that it needs to go away. Yeah. 4 chickens I'm okay with.
Thank you. Our next item up for discussion is a work from home policy. Village Administrator Scott Koppel will present this item.
Thank you. So this is I was tasked with putting together a work from home policy. We don't have one currently that's ever been adopted by the village board. Work from home became a lot more popularized during COVID, and since then it is something that we have from time to time allowed employees to do. It's been left mostly to myself and department heads to be in charge of that. A lot of staff today has laptops and we can do nearly all of our jobs remotely. Some have either get a stipend or have a village issued cell phone. So I went through, I looked at some other work from home policies that are out there. I looked at also some of the past practices that have happened at the village and drafted the attached work from home policy, which essentially allows for a maximum of 4 work days per calendar month as approved by a department head. And again, there are some positions that work from home would be eligible for and some positions that would not. It's just the nature of the position and the work that's done. We also are cognizant that we need to have our building staffed and have so that if the public does come in, that we can make sure that we take care of those needs as well. That's why it can't just be, it needs to have some flexibility and allow for department head approval. And then we added in an additional, I worked on this one with Matt, we added in an additional that the village administrator could, in special circumstances, maybe approve something that would be for more than the 4 times per month, and that would be in an extenuating circumstance where the person perhaps needed to be from home at their job more regularly or for a shortened period of time. But where it fit the need, and then we could keep the person working and they'd be able to help us out, whether it be like some type of medical thing where they just needed to be secluded but could still work, and that would be beneficial for me and staff if we can keep people working that can't necessarily come into the office for some type of reason, which kind of harkens back to COVID. During the 10-day periods, if those kind of things ever come back, we'd want to be able to have people be able to work from home while they're healthy enough to work but can't necessarily be around other employees. Maybe the last day of a sickness, something along those lines. So that's where some of the times that work from home comes into play. This is a draft. Please provide comments, and then would bring it back to be approved. And then when we do the next employee handbook update, we would then add this as a section to the employee handbook.
We'll now have discussion on this item.
As somebody who does a lot of work from home, I have no issues with a work from home policy, especially since I think it would be advantageous to the general work and employees' work-life balance.
I also love the idea. I think it's important we find ways to retain good employees because they are very hard to find. So allowing some work from home is great.
I'm against it. I don't like it where these employees are not private employees. They're paid by the taxpayers of Sugar Grove. I think it's a responsibility to have them in office. Biggest issue is they're hard to supervise. 1 time a week from home is a lot. It would maybe be once a month. I'd be more open to, but once a week, that's a lot to have an employee that makes a larger salary being at home and not being supervised. It doesn't really go towards team building as you're working in the office space. Government work is a special kind of work. For those that don't work in government work or private, it's a little different, but sometimes a lot of institutional knowledge is available at a drop of a hat when that employee is not there. They're not able to contribute as much. There is an emergency situation that occurs and manpower needs to be shifted within the village itself. We're unable to do that. Just professional development for our employees. You're missing out 4 times a month being at home. Maybe they're not taking it every week. I'm sure Scott's not going to prove it all the time, but there's just room for somebody to take advantage of it and be gone every single Friday for a work from home. They're not building on skills or learning from other people 4 times a month. That's a lot. And I don't like it. I think as a taxpayer for the village of Sugar Grove, I would like to see the people's salary that I'm paying to be actually at work and within the building as much as possible.
I think our employees, we have to give them some level of trust. I don't think they need to be supervised at all times, but I'll give an example in my my regular 9-to-5 private sector job. I left a really good higher paying job for the job that allows me to work from home. And I appreciate that work-life balance so much. I often work extra for that employer, even like unpaid on weekends. I'll get up super early in the morning. So I think it almost goes the other way, where if you give someone a job that they really like, you give them that trust, they'll work even harder for you. It's been my experience.
Let me say something. I've worked at home 4 days a week for the last 10 years, and I work for the federal government. I'm a hard worker, and to me, I work better at home. But there's employees I know that don't work hard. So it depends on the employee. If you have a good employee, I think it's great. Retain employees. But if you have a person that's not stepping up, I think you should, village administration make sure those people do not work from home. Read a lot of this, because I mean, people do take advantage of it.
I know that there are certain jobs that work from home are more difficult for them to do, like something where they're interacting with the public regularly. And if I was coming in to get something from the village and that person's working from home, that person's not available. And so I definitely see Trustee Bonnie's point on this as well. And quite frankly, I work from home 1 day a week, and honestly, I'm much more productive, and I think our whole office is much more productive when we're in the office, but that's because we can walk over and, ask questions very easily about things. I also do have a question. I know it's written in here about confidentiality. I'm not sure how that works, because sometimes you have a lot of stuff with the village that is confidential. If you're trying to talk to someone who's working from home, how sure are you that they're in a situation where, somebody else in their house doesn't hear it and then it gets through the rumor mill or something? But I do understand retention of good employees. Most places have a work from home policy, so I kind of see.
So a couple things to that. One, it would be the same way we'd have to manage confidentiality, and that people can go home and just talk to people about what they did at work, or take documents home that maybe they need to keep them in whether they keep it in their bag or they keep it in a secure place if they do take something home that they're working on, and just have to be managed in that same way. That if there's they just not to speak about it and not to cover that, and make sure that they go to a private place to have the call, or schedule the calls on the day when they're in the office that they need to. We also have some people that work out in cubed or areas that are out in the open, and they need to sometimes take a call in a conference room or what have you. So some of that is trust and training and preaching the importance of confidentiality. I do agree about the recruiting part. Something I did not add that Matt brought up as a suggestion on the finance director job posting was to put flexible schedule as a benefit. It was something that until we get through this discussion and get the policy adopted, I wasn't comfortable adding to the job description, because we don't have a firm policy, and so I didn't want to make any promises to that end. But Matt did feel that that could be something that would help, and he is the one that suggested it, so it'd be nice to be able to add that. But again, we'll still find and recruit good talent either way, but that is just a top of mind when you bring up the retaining and hiring people aspect of it. There's other things that come up with work from home. Some of the requests I get, somebody may have a sick child and need to stay home. If we don't have a work from home policy, they would need to use a family sick day and not be able to do work. And in some circumstances, having them be able to contribute and get things done is valuable, and being able to juggle those things. The kid might just be sleeping all day if they're sick or what have you, and then they're able to get the work done or work in an odd time of the day to get their work in. So that is some other benefit and something that has come up that has been of value to the village, where we can still keep progress going, but also have people be able to care for a family member.
I think one of the points that is made in the eligibility section is employees whose job duties can be performed remotely are eligible. So if it's something that requires you to be there to greet the public or provide something to the public, then one of two things has to happen. Either they can't use the work from home, and that would be basically supervision's issue to monitor, or they have to make some sort of a workaround where there's another employee available to cover those routine things where the public comes in and says, hey, I need this paperwork, or whatever it is that they're meeting us for.
I'm also opposed to the work from home policy, except for if someone is ill or has a sick family member where the person needs to be home. I'd be fine with something in the personnel file or personnel policy that says people can work remotely under certain circumstances, but in general, I'm opposed to it.
Is there any other discussion?
Seems fairly split. I don't feel like I have clear direction on what to bring back. There was some support for this and some not. I don't. If you want to ask for a consensus for each member or recommend what to bring back, but
Only because there is a current job posting going out. Would everyone want to say whether they generally support it or not?
I support it.
I do not support it as it's currently written. I would prefer to see the numbers drop down a lot less, maybe once or twice a month, but for circumstances, certain circumstances as it's listed, sick child or something like that, I can understand. But as it's generally written, I'm against it.
And Sean, you're also certain circumstances.
Yeah, so.
Tony?
Same with Matt, Bonnie, and Sean.
Okay.
Generally against it.
Certain circumstances. And Laura?
I approve of work from home.
And Heidi?
I think I'm more of the certain circumstances, limited.
so.
Is everyone 4 days with certain circumstances, or everyone wants it lowered from 4?
I want lower than 4, like Matt described. And Sean too. I mean, I think they both kind of described the same
Would you guys be okay
thing.
with 2 days
You
a
want
month?
2?
Yeah.
Just
Okay,
apply
2
2 days a
or
month?
certain circumstances.
Or you guys want to have approval for the circumstances?
I'd like to have approval for the circumstances.
I'm in agreement. Approval for the circumstances would probably work with us.
Me too.
All right. The next item up for discussion is the Shared Economic Development Director. Village Administrator Scott Koppel will present this item.
Thank you. So, as you know, Michael retired earlier this year, and we haven't had economic development. There was a discussion at the village board a few months back about the way to move forward with potential economic development in the village. It seemed that there was a consensus to have economic development, but not at the cost and the level that it was funded in the past. So went back and looked at several different options, looked at what was done in some other communities. In doing my research, I had a discussion with Elburn, and they had at one point a few years ago posted an economic development coordinator position, which was below a director. and did not get any viable candidates out of that posting, so they've kind of had their process on hold as well. They went and spoke to a recruiting firm and asked what may have happened. The answer they got was that for this type of thing, they'd have a lot more success if they were able to post it for a director level position. They looked at what we were doing at Sugar Grove at the time, and it was not something that they felt like with their budgetary constraints. They're a smaller village than us. It was something that they could not fund. So again, they've had this on hold for a while. And then in those discussions with Elburn, we had the idea, is this something where we could pool our resources, work together and get that director level position to come in and be shared between the two communities. Then there was a meeting with myself, village president from Elburn, President Stillwell, and the new administrator for the village of Elburn. We all met together and thought this is something that we could potentially do and work on together. The needs of the two villages are different, but we're both on 47. We don't border each other, but our planning areas essentially do. And also through this process, we've brought back the discussions of a boundary agreement. So that will be coming in the next few meetings back as well as we work through that process. But that's what came out of the discussion. So then just looking for feedback, the next step would be to look at putting together an IGA between the two villages if this is something the village board is interested in going forward with. It's a little different than what happens in other communities, but it is not, it's not that it's never done. And there are times where resources are pooled, whether it's, there are instances where a county will do the economic development for all of the cities, and sometimes where cities will work together.
We'll now open discussion.
You put it together for like a 3-year period. I mean, you probably have to have some length of time to assure whoever gets hired that they'd have a job for a couple of years more than just a 1-year trial. But I think, you know, a 3-year period would be a good trial period, and I'm in favor.
My only concern is if the person was, say, on a Sugar Grove's payroll, would they favor Sugar Grove? Would they spend more time helping us, or vice versa? And how would you make sure that would, you know, that would?
We had discussed that. So there would be some agreement where one of the villages paid, but then the other would do a reimbursement.
No, but I'm saying
yeah.
but employed that person would be.
Yeah.
Would work evenly for both.
So Elburn's village president was talking about how, especially down south, regional economic development directors are more popular and successful. But so they would understand that they're a regional director, and then at all times would be looking for things to bring into their region. So it shouldn't be like they're only looking for Sugar Grove or they're only looking for Elburn. Like it would be for the region.
But if they're bringing something in, which town do they want it in? That's the question. You know?
Yeah, and often it would be up to the investors that they bring it to view all the available lots, but some investors, you know, might be interested in more than one site, and having the whole region would be great to bring them to this area. And I absolutely love pooling resources and working with nearby communities. I think that people in both of our communities would love to see us working together on something like that.
What benefits either Elburn or Sugar Grove benefits the school district as well, so I think, you know, there's a shared interest.
Yeah.
I have some concerns like Mike had. I just don't know who's responsible for the decision-making at the end. If something comes in and better fits us, so we agree that it better fits us, but it goes to Elburn, there's no oversight. Who's actually in charge of that person makes that decision? Is it you or is it Elburn? I think there's some I would prefer to look at just a part-time person for us to start that solely focuses on us, our town, gets to know us alone, to work hard for us and not splitting time with another neighbor to the north, although I do want to work well with Elburn. Elburn's also growing. We will come in probably some businesses that are, you know, in the middle of going one way or another, and we need to have somebody that will fight for us here in Sugar Grove and bring that to us to help our tax base of Sugar Grove It will help the school district as well, no matter which one it goes to, but we're responsible for our residents in Sugar Grove, and I think having somebody that fights for us is better paid than paying somebody to share with another community and their taxpayers. Thank you.
I think that is a good idea, except that Alburn had posted a similar thing and got no applicants, 0. So it would be very difficult for us to find someone willing to do that part-time. But that was sort of the idea. If we could both afford a part-time salary, we both, get them half-time, and then we'd have
But here's
double the salary.
We've never posted, I'm sorry, but we've never posted a part-time, we haven't even tried it. I think it would be good for us to at least try it first. I understand it didn't work for Elburn, but we're not Elburn. We have different things going on in our town, and somebody might be interested in our town, so, sorry.
I agree with Matt Bonney completely on this one, so I am concerned about the competition. We have very similar area, and if something comes and they say, well, where do they go? We want it, Elburn wants it. I want somebody there who is fighting for us. No, Sugar Grove should get it. Here are all the benefits of Sugar Grove. This is why you should be at Sugar Grove. I want to have a good relationship with Elburn as well, but I'm not voted in by the people of Elburn. I'm voted in by the people of Sugar Grove to do what's best for the village of Sugar Grove. And I want to make sure that we have, I like the idea of someone that is just looking out for Sugar Grove in this aspect. As far as bringing things in, if it's going to be Elburn or Sugar Grove, and it's something good, I would like it to be Sugar Grove.
Yeah, I do understand that. The reality, though, is just there are not a lot of economic development directors willing to work for part-time. It looks like, we're...
Have we sent out, applied for it? I know Elburn did. Elburn's a smaller town. Elburn doesn't have this big development that's coming up.
And if we could save our, Matt Bonney was bringing up, making the most of our dollars for our taxpayers, but if we could spend half as much and still have an economic development director, wouldn't that benefit our taxpayers a lot if we could save, over $100,000 or something like
Might
that?
only be getting half the work.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
If you're paying half amount, you're probably getting half the work because you're working with Elburn, so it's split 50-50.
Well,
So we're
a
paying less,
part-time
but we're not
employee is
getting
half
as
the work.
much.
But you get a part-time one, it'd be the same thing, wouldn't it?
Why can't, that person's solely focused the entire time on us? Like, we don't have to worry about focusing on anybody else. Have we had a discussion about looking at hiring another director? We had one before, we afforded it before full-time. Have we looked at maybe revisiting that and posting it as a director and looking at comps in the area and trying to put it up for a full-time person to bring back?
I think during the election, the residents were clear. They want us to be very careful with spending. I didn't hear any resident yes, we're spending a lot of money. If we can show that we can work cooperatively and save the residents money, I think they would be far more in support of that than, hey, let's just spend more because, maybe we can.
Well,
I feel like this is a good opportunity with Elburn, and if we delay because we want to post a part-time position that we can already see was not successful for Elburn, we may miss the opportunity to work cooperatively with Elburn, and this is a good chance. It's also being presented to Elburn's board, and it would be nice to say, hey, both boards are in support of this and want to work together.
I agree that, the past director didn't have enough work to keep him busy, and he only brought in 2 restaurants and a creamery, basically in the 4 years he was hired. And the amount of money that we spent on that department was excessive, and we could have given out more incentives to attract businesses if we didn't have that position. So I think having someone that's part-time with Sugar Grove and part-time with Elburn, they'll keep them busier, and we have a greater chance of having an active director.
I think your numbers are wrong. You had Jiffy Lube, you had all 4 of the places in the strip mall, you had Starbucks, which is an open building too.
The strip mall restaurants are the same owners.
The numbers, yeah, but it's still brought in business. So I think just a comment that you only brought in a few things, I think is is misleading.
We don't want to say anything negative, like, about the past economic development director, just, this is a different opportunity that we can consider and potentially save the taxpayers a lot, and good things could come from him.
I personally don't think we should hire full-time. I don't think Sugar Grow's big enough.
Yeah.
Another idea is if, you know, maybe hire him as a consultant, like not an employee, as a 1099. We pay him half salary and they pay him half the salary. He's on our payroll, or it's on Elvern's payroll. We don't like him, we fire him. Elvern doesn't like him, they fire him. So he's responsible to both of us.
I think in that circumstance, one of the reasons to do the shared would be that we could get a full-time person and so that they could be eligible for benefits. And that would drastically help in the recruiting. I think if we tried to just do that, the consultant part, it would be very difficult to find.
Okay.
That's pretty expensive from what Yorkville's paying.
Yeah, Yorkville pays a consultant a pretty considerable amount of money, but doesn't have someone on the payroll. That's the way that they do it. They do it a little differently. Is they have a consultant. But there's some other cities that do that as well. But that's their method.
Any other discussion? Trustee London or Trustee Fishman? You don't need consensus on that, too.
I feel like that there's
Well,
not a
we do-
consensus on this. I don't know what to bring back or what step
I
to
know.
take next.
So Auburn's board is also discussing this tonight. Could we also get some idea if there is, support or not from each person, so that we have some idea what to tell Auburn?
I know.
Oppose, support.
Opposed to this model, it's hard to decide and answer the questions that everybody brought up. So in the present form, I'm opposed.
In general, I would support shared resources. I think one of the key issues is the paragraph on intergovernmental agreement is that has to be very specific as to the split of the work and how we're going to manage it. I think that's a key area to make that successful. But trying to find this unicorn of a person to hire in at a salary we can afford, I think is going to be an ongoing issue. And it probably benefits us more to have someone on staff sooner than later. And it sounds like this is not a specialty that has a lot of candidates around.
Opposed.
I'm opposed.
So we have a switch. Would I do the tiebreaking? Okay, so if I were the tiebreaker, it would be a yes. So, okay, so we'll bring that back to Elburn and we'll see how Elburn's board feels as well. And then we will revisit.
I do have a question. We do have an Economic Development Corporation
Yes.
that is active, and I just wonder if they shared an opinion or thoughts. And
We do have an upcoming meeting with them as well, and then this will likely be discussed.
I mean, I believe some of those members have been through our different renditions of this position.
Mm-hmm.
They may have a opinion as well.
Yep, we had just discussed with a couple people, but there was support of it, and even some interest, some excitement maybe.
Becky and I were literally working on the agenda today for the meeting next Wednesday, and that is going to be on the agenda. They wanted an update of how this discussion went with the board, and then we can ask for their feedback as well, Tony. We'll get that, and then I'll send that to the village board.
Yeah, I think they're an integral part of economic development, and
Yeah.
I think they need to be in the loop and share their experiences and ideas and
Yeah.
concerns.
All right, if there is no other discussion, we will move on to item D, Commercial Property Enhancement Program application for American Legion, Post 1271. Village Administrator Scott Koppel will present this item.
Thank you. So there was an application that was submitted by the American Legion to essentially have their parking lot, which is in dire need, to be redone in downtown Sugar Grove. It's a $33,000 project estimate that they have, and the CPEP grant they're applying for is for $10,000. The newly formed or newly updated CPEP review committee, which does include now Trustee Roscoff and President Stillwell, reviewed the application, and everyone was in favor of moving forward. We feel that it does fit the project. It is in the area. It does fit the application requirements. And again, the CPEP program is attached to my memo, as well as the application from the American Legion.
Is there any discussion on this item?
I would bring up stormwater, but is there a way to do any type of stormwater irrigation?
There's nothing over there. No permit cover.
I know, I didn't know if putting a catch basin in and attaching it to the one that's.
There don't really be a lot of complaints of stormwater issues over there, really.
I'm just afraid that's what's deteriorating the parking lot. But it
Well,
could be,
sheets toward First Street.
doesn't,
Yeah.
you know. It just,
We'll look into that when we pay First Street. I think.
okay,
And the sanitary runs right down the center of First Street as well.
okay.
So that complicates matters.
But the Legion does a lot of nice things for the community, and I encourage that we support this, and anything we can do to help with stormwater, I think is good.
I'm in support of this for the American Legion.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I thought when we had discussed this before about what the requirements were, it was for more of an architectural type enhancement than regular maintenance.
Under the current regulations, we had looked at that, under the current regulations, this does fit. The rules were not modified to architectural only. I had a similar thought, but it does help it look more attractive, and that it is allowed under the.
I mean, did we
So
not discuss?
It was heavily discussed. There was no decision reached to change the rules, instead to encourage it. But what we did from the last one, where there was a lot of discussion around the last one, and the fact is this maintenance, or is this actually improving the situation? So the biggest change that was made was the committee was updated to add both the village president and a trustee to have more policymakers at the table for the initial application review. That was the biggest change that was made. The actual rules, that they were not updated to effect that that something like this would not be eligible. But there was a lot of discussion about it.
If we got too tight with the rules and we made it architectural only, because I understand what you're saying, and it would look nice especially if buildings downtown improve their exteriors. If we got rid of anything that could be considered maintenance, we wouldn't be able to help out, businesses like this one, and replacing the parking lot. It will look nicer, and it's a very loved place in the village. So, being able to help them out with that.
Yeah, I know, like Fireside Grill's sign was a good example. They replaced it. They could have kept it as it was, but they replaced it with something much more upscale, and so they got benefit on that. And I thought that was more in line of what this was looking for. And granted, the American Legion, awesome place, and I know the parking lot needs to be redone. I was just trying to not go down a slippery slope, because this does seem like it's just maintenance in essence, because it's not being improved, other than if they were just gonna do maintenance, they were gonna do the same things that are listed here. They're not adding.
To that point, if everybody wants a parking lot's done, we're not gonna set everyone's. I think part of the reason we kind of thought we'd do this is because they help the community out. It is a big eyesore. But you got a good point.
We also don't have any other applications, and it's well within the budget, so we could help them with their parking lot and still help another business with their exterior or their facade if they do apply. I think in the future, once we have an economic development director in place, it might be worth it to contact downtown businesses again about possibly, applying. And then when we have more than one application, we can favor those that would make the businesses look better. But at this time, it's well within the budget, and there's no one else.
I understand it's in the budget. I understand they are a very well-loved, respected place. I understand, and I understand it needs to be done. I'm just I'm concerned about precedent, because they come in, and this is clearly just maintenance. I mean, they're not putting planters or anything in, you know, to upgrade it. It's maintenance. If someone else comes in and says, well, you did it for the American Legion, and it was just maintenance, I want my driveway done, you know, my parking lot done too. You did it here, why can't you do it for me? I'm just wondering what do we have this, where we can say, no, it's not, you know, we're not gonna do just maintenance, we're not just gonna pave everybody's parking lot. I would love to do this for them, I would. I'm just trying to think ahead of how do we keep that kind of thing from happening, and can we just say, well, we don't think you're as deserving, because I don't know if that would fly.
Let's ask, so Brian, if we approve for the American Legion a parking lot, I think we're all in agreement, we don't wanna pave everyone's parking lot.
Right.
So if we approve it for them, could we go, the next person that applies, could we still say no without any worries about, you know, being accused of favorites or having any sort
It's
of?
a discretionary program that the board has decided to spend the funds in this manner, so it's, you know.
So we could do it for them and then not do it for anyone else?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, we could simply say no to future applicants then.
Trustee Lindy, I thought the same thing, and then reading the staff report, you know, it said that it was allowed, that's why I'm in favor of it. I would think, I'd propose that we bring back the ordinance. And
I
look at
think
it
so too,
again,
yeah.
Especially with 3 new members.
I think the
Board.
ordinance should be brought back and clarified,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with that.
Right, because currently the rules here, replacement or installation of sidewalks and parking areas are,
Mhm.
so I mean, it complies with the current rules, so.
Because we all generally like the idea of helping out the Legion with this project, would everyone be open to approving the grant for the Legion, and also then after bringing back the ordinance for revision?
Yeah, that's, I'm a yes.
That's fair.
Alright, any other discussion? Alright, hearing none. We'll move on to staff reports. We have Administration Department, Scott Koppel.
Thank you. The big to-do is, of course, the police station remodel. Big thanks to Chief and DeKind to get all the IT moved over. That was quite the work. I apologize for phones being down for a little bit, but we did get that back up and running. When you're working with AT&T, you're working on AT&T time, and we did our best to get through it, got everything back up and running. Some later nights, and I know long hours for Chief especially, and then also Public Works for hauling everything over to the other side of town so we can get started on the demo that started today, and getting that set up, and along with a storm that came in and took quite a bit of their time. So a lot of credit to those 2 departments I wanted to mention, and that's my report, and I'm happy to answer questions as well.
Is there any way to post that the phones are out? And I don't know if there was something posted on Facebook or.
We did.
Yeah.
Did you? Okay.
Especially when we know there's a planned outage. We had hoped it would be a couple hours, but we ended up having to get a completely different team from AT&T to come out the next day. That just, we well ahead notified them. We said, this is when we want to cut over. We moved the equipment, we had the kind there, and then when you're with a company that big, you're just at their mercy.
Yeah, I tried contacting the building department at that time, and there's no message or anything like that. It just went to fast busy, so I knew something was wrong, and I was able to email staff, but
In the future, we're able to go, we have a phone system. It's a little bit legacy VoIP phone system that you need to have still a server here for it to work. We're keeping that because we can keep our handsets, we can keep using it in an effort to, cost savings. But that is one of the downsides to it, is if the police department loses internet connection or our connection back to them, we lose our phones. In the future, we'll be migrating to a system that only relies on each individual office having internet. So there could be an instance where if police is having a problem, you could still call Public Works or call the village hall. So we'll go to that, but there's a cost associated with it, and we're always trying to use up our stuff as long as we can while it's still pretty operationally working well. So it is in the plans to make it a little bit more redundant.
Thank you. Finance Department, Matt is not here tonight. I think everyone knows, but Matt is moving to California, and we wish him the best with that. Community Development Department, Danny Marion.
The only thing I would like to add is that Starbucks is open. On my report, I said they're opening soon, and they are open.
I think we've all gone through that drive-through already. Police Department.
Question for Danny real quick. How is Lennar doing?
Lennar is just about ready to get their masquerading permit to start.
They got the weeds out at least.
They should be starting with masquerading shortly.
Okay, great, thank you.
And Police Department, Chief Rollins.
Just as a reminder, this Thursday is Food Truck Thursday, as well as Groovin' in the Grove. And the intention is we're going to close southbound municipal in front of the library here to allow the food trucks to occupy that space instead of parking lots at the police department with all the gas streams. So there's no working public bathrooms over there. So the goal is to close it all down. So please come out and enjoy it. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Quick question, not so quick. To get on my soapbox again, can you please explain a little bit about the Secretary of State's comment? He did a survey of the license plate reader, Phlox, the company, and he did an audit of it, and I believe on the 25th he released that Phlox Safety shared Illinois data with U.S. Customs and Border Protection Secretary, and the Secretary orders Phlox to shut off data access. I know that Evanston had put out something on the 27th that they were deactivating all 19 of their Phlox safety cameras. Can you tell us how this kind of thing affects us and our license plate readers?
Sure. With new technology, it's going to happen. There's going to be some opportunities where data you think is protected, including us as well as and is committed to make sure that they were doing a pilot program with the federal government that none of us knew about. And it was nothing serious that was going on. Illinois law prohibits anything that has to do with abortion rights or for immigration purposes that license plate readers cannot be used. One of the entities that was using it was the Border Patrol. Doesn't mean the Border Patrol is using it for immigration. They also have a law enforcement branch, so HSI is also participating. They're also local. They're in the suburbs. And again, all that they get is the license plates. They don't get anything else. So the data that gets shared amongst law enforcement, if we open up those sharing agreements, it stays here in Illinois. Yes, we have federal agencies that tap into it, as well as the Illinois Attorney General's office, as well as the Illinois State Police. We all have Phlox cameras and access to Phlox. What happened was an audit was done, and all of us are receiving FOIAs across the state that use Phlox to respond to certain things right now from the Secretary of State's office. The Phlox CEO is committed to stop that pilot program. One side didn't know what the other side was doing. They're a large corporation. And I don't, like I said, I don't think it was done for immigration purposes or for abortion rights, but not 100% sure for the intent of every individual. So Yes, Old Park and Evanston, to my knowledge, have deactivated their cameras right now. I think about 450 plus law enforcement agencies in the state of Illinois have utilized block as a license plate reader. Also, the competitor is Exxon. Exxon has license plate readers, and there's Motorola that has license plate readers. They are doing their best to, all these companies, to ensure that they're following Illinois' law. Not every state has similar laws that Illinois has enacted. It's a good thing. But they can't apply everything across the board to all 50 states.
Okay.
So, but the information that we have stored is ours, not for others to. If we have an agreement with a neighboring agency or someone in, the Chicagoland area, yes, we can allow them to have access. I feel bad for those that border ill, like I mentioned before, if you're a Lansing or you're a Calumet City, and right across the other state line is Indiana, and your criminals or people are going back and forth between, if they don't have an agreement, you're just basically cutting off the data and the resources that's available. Because it has to stay in Illinois, so they have to have an individual sign the agreement with each of the two municipalities that it can be used for those two purposes.
Okay.
So it's being addressed. It's alarming that it's happened and it came out. And I don't have more on it. I don't work for Flock, but I think they have good intentions. And what I read is that they're trying to correct all these nuances that Illinois has created.
Okay. I appreciate that, and I understand the uses that are good for the license plate reader, and I also understand the caution you have to take with that kind of data, and I appreciate you being on top of that.
And Public Works Department, Brad Merkel.
I have nothing to add except for remind everyone that the ribbon cutting ceremony for the pedestrian bridge is Friday at 4:30. The Department District is putting on.
Thank you.
Hopefully the weather's good and well attended.
Yes. Trustee Lindy.
I unfortunately was not able to attend the last library board meeting, but I encourage everyone to look on their website with all the wonderful things they have going on. I know the Forest Preserve, Kane County, they have a couple things going on. One that I thought that I didn't know if you knew about, President Stilwell, they've got a Knock Out the Noxious, talking about the difference between a native and a non-native plant and why the differences matters. We'll be having that going on the 6th of September. And then there's also, I know Bliss Woods, it looks like they've got a Learn to Identify Trees in the Fall program that is going to be in October 12th. Unfortunately, they do not have their latest board meeting online, so I cannot listen to it.
Thank you. Trustee Linden.
Nothing right now.
Trustee Special.
I just happy to hear the ribbon cutting for that Blackberry Creek Bridge. I mean, that was a long time coming. I mean, we had to go through the steps to get it to qualify for grant funding, and I just think it's an excellent show of different government bodies working together. Since,
I love that idea.
I mean, that we got the grant, and it's a Sugar Grove Township, Sugar Grove Park District, Kane County Forest Preserve District, and the Village of Sugar Grove. I think it was a unique opportunity when we all came together and had property right in the same place, and a long time coming when we decided to do phase one, and we just discussed, because there's different parts of the engineering, and if you get phase one, you may qualify for a potential grant, and do you submit it, don't you submit it, timing and all that. But it's fantastic to see it come to fruition after so many years of trying to put all that together. So I'm happy to celebrate the success of all our government bodies and completion of such a project.
Thanks for all the work you did on it, Tony.
Yeah.
as well.
And if anyone didn't see, they're also having a community bike ride from the ribbon cutting to Wabansie to see the new tech building as well. So bring your bikes. Trustee Michaels.
Let's see, Groovin' in the Grove's on Thursday from 7 to 8:30 with Cadillac Grove. The bike bridge, I think it's gonna cost me a new bike, my wife a new bike, but it's well worth it. Yeah, like Tony said, it was great to have all that collaboration. And then Wabansie's having their grand opening for their automotive building on August 12th, I believe, at 4 o'clock.
I think it's two. Right.
It's the public one's at 4.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But there's but anyway, so congratulations to Wabansie and getting that building open. Looks very nice from the outside. So
Thank you.
that's-
Trustee Ross.
Me and President Stovall, we went and painted
Yes.
a bunch of pots. We planned to donate them to the garden committee. A lot of people in the community helped out. It was a good time. And I'm also looking forward to the bridge opening up. Haven't been on it yet, so I'm looking forward to take my bike on there and take a ride on it.
And the flower pots there, the beautification and gardening committee is going to plant the painted pots, but then we're going to give them back to the chamber, who will distribute them to different businesses around the town in the spring. And did you have anything? And Trustee Bonnie.
No, something else that.
For President's Report, I just have a few things. First, a couple of you had contacted me because you had gotten emails that had my name but a different from address. I just want to warn everyone that people do try to impersonate village officials. So always check that from address. If it's not from my email address, it's not from me. So obviously don't buy them gift cards and whatever they're asking for. Number two, the planning commissioner, I took all of the feedback from the last meeting. You had wanted, Trustee Bonnie, you had wanted a resident. Sean, you had wanted someone not from the north side. Nora, you had wanted in-person interviews, I think, and then Heidi, you had wanted someone from a profession not already represented and also involved in community service. And then I had wanted to avoid friends and family of anyone already in Sugar Grove government. I think I may have found a person that will make everybody happy, and so I'll get that to you as soon as possible, but I want to let you know I am working on it. It's not the easiest thing in the world to find, but I will hopefully have that to you soon. The village newsletter, the last village newsletter that went out, it had a column like President's Corner. I would like to expand that to like a village board corner if everyone is open to that, and then maybe you could send anything to Tracy that you might want to add, and then the picture in it can be all of us, like maybe a picture from today, or like pictures from around the community. I think the community would really like seeing us all work together, so hopefully we can do that. And then the last thing, I'm not sure if I mentioned, I was trying something over at Mallard Point, and then, did I tell you this already about the student? No, okay. Over at Mallard Point, there was one small area that I had taken the ragweed out of, and then once I took the ragweed out of, sunflowers bloomed and little yellow flowers. It was pretty cool, but I cannot do that to 23 acres. But I was contacted by a student. She was originally from Sugar Grove, now lives in Montgomery, and she goes to Elmhurst University now. But for her capstone project, she was looking for an environmental project to help out a municipality with. And I was like, please come over. And so now she's working with us. We're gonna come up with some sort of plan for Mallard Point, sort of continue what we're doing. And then we have some seeds that Brad was nice enough to obtain for us. So hopefully we're gonna continue expanding on our little test area and see if that's something we can expand to the whole 23 acres. Just because if it worked, it would save quite a bit of money. And then also, the last time we did a burn is sort of like some of the weeds took over after that, so we'd like to try and avoid that. We'll see, but I don't know. We're gonna try it and propose it to Brad and see how it goes. And I think that's it. And that is, it's, at this time, the board will enter executive session. Is there a motion and a second to enter executive session to discuss litigation 5 ILCS 122C11 and adjourn the meeting afterward, as there is no further business to discuss? Could we have a roll call, please, Tracy?
I'll make that motion.
We have a first from trustee Michaels. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And we will enter executive. Roll call, please.
Trustee Michaels?
Aye.
Trustee Roscoe?
Aye.
Trustee Lindy?
Aye.
Trustee Bonnie?
Aye.
Trustee Special?
Aye.
Trustee London?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and we'll enter executive session at this time.